Welcome to the Life You Love podcast.
We're your hosts, Grace Lemire
and Erin Convertini.
This podcast is for the dreamers and the doers.
For the women who want to create a life they genuinely love waking up to.
We believe that life's short, so let's build one we love.
I feel like we haven't filmed a podcast episode in so long. Actually, it has been over a month since Grace and I recorded because it was the holidays, and then Grace was so busy moving to a new state, which is what we're chatting about in today's episode. We haven't even had the chance to catch up as friends since the move, so this will just be a chatty convo all about moving to a new state in your 20s, especially moving alone where you don't know anyone. So let's get into it. I know, especially for me, I'm curious how your road trip went, and I want to start there because you drove from Boston to Florida because you moved to Florida, which is super exciting, and that's like what 3 times the length of my drive when I moved to a new state. And I know you posted some videos about like 3 days worth of road tripping or something, so I want to talk about how that went. We can start there.
Yeah. So for context, I decided, which I feel like, I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you probably know this. I feel like I've yapped about it like ridiculous amount, but I decided to do the same thing that Erin did and just like sell everything I owned rather than taking it down. Mostly because, like, for example, my couch like was way too big to fit in my new space, and my desk was literally like $100. So paying to have movers bring it down just like didn't make any sense. I was like, let me just sell it and buy another $100 desk. It's fine. And I also wanted to upgrade my bed frame, and those were like the big pieces of furniture that I would have paid to move. And so it just, without those in the equation, it didn't make sense to ship everything else down. So I decided to just move with what would fit in my car, which I want to note before I talk about the road trip. I grossly overestimated how much would fit in my car. And I don't even have a lot of things. And I'm going to be vulnerable here on the podcast. I probably won't put this on Instagram or TikTok because people are vicious over there. The day of, I was going to move my old mattress to my parents' house so they could keep it there for like the guest room, which is really just for me to sleep on when I visit. And so I rented a U-Haul, and I needed help getting the mattress into the U-Haul. So I asked my dad if he could come over and help me. He was going to come over at like 9:30. We were going to load it up. I was going to drive it to my parents' house 30 minutes away. All was going to be well, return the U-Haul by 1. I did not return that U-Haul until like 5 o'clock. And my dad was with me all day because I was sitting there starting to panic. I'm packing things in my car. This is the day before I'm supposed to like move away. And my dad, bless his heart, bless that man, because if he wasn't there, I would have spiraled into actual orbit that day. He's looking at all my stuff and he's like, Grace, I don't think it's going to fit in the car. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're kidding me. Like, what do you mean it's not going to fit in the car, Dad? It's got to fit in the car. And I'm looking at him because he's an engineer. And when we moved me into college, he fit every single inch of that car was packed to the brim. And I don't know how he did it. So I was like, he's an engineer. Where there's a will, there's a way. He'll get it in there. No. So day of, I sent him back to my parents' house with an entire car full of stuff. He has like he brought my mom's Subaru Crosstrek. So like SUV type of car, has a lot of room. Car full of stuff went back there. And what devastated me about the whole thing was that there was stuff that like would not fit in either car. And I did have the U-Haul, and in hindsight, I could have packed some things in the U-Haul and brought it to Savers, but I only had a certain amount of time to get it all done because the property manager had to do the walkthrough with me, and she was leaving at a certain time that day because I told her 2 o'clock. And so she was only going to be until 3:45 because it's a Friday. So I'm like freaking out. And my dad is like, Grace, there's some stuff we're going to have to throw away. I start crying. I'm like, no, Dad. I'm like, some of the stuff is perfectly fine. Like my glasses, they're like a $30 set of glasses, like, not an expensive item, but I was just like, these are perfectly fine glasses. And I'm like, Dad, I'm like, there's a woman and a woman shelter who could use these, or like, I could drop that. And he was like, Grace, he was like, we have about an hour and 45 minutes to like get this together. We don't have time to drive 45 minutes to Savers to drop all these things off. We can't take everything out of your car and pack it. Like, you paid for the U-Haul for a certain distance. Oh my God, it was actually such a mess and the most stressful thing in the world. And if I give any advice to anyone about that aspect of moving, if you're going to move with just what will fit in your car, plan to put literally only your clothes and like my espresso machine fit in there, and my like work equipment. I had like a basket with like my podcast mic and my camera and things like that. That's pretty much it. And then my friend and I's little suitcases. I thought so much more was going to fit because I drive a Toyota Camry and it's like deceptively spacious inside. Like it looks very like looks like a small car, but it actually fits a lot. Oh, Lord have mercy. So that was kind of like the energy I started this whole thing off on. I was so overwhelmed. I cried literally, I'm not even joking. I cried for days. I cried Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday about the guilt of having to throw certain things
Oh
away
my
that were in
gosh.
perfect
Yeah.
condition.
No, that
Because
is a universal
oh,
experience though, because when I moved, I started that process like a week before I moved.
oh my
And the
gosh.
Sunday before I left, my mom came up and she took like an entire SUV full of stuff that I was like, you have to donate all of this because like
Mm-hmm.
it's literally not going to fit in my car. But then like
Yeah.
I thought everything else was going to fit and then
Yeah.
it literally just simply did
Yeah.
not fit. So yeah, same thing. Like I thought I was going to be able to bring like plates and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And it just
And I
didn't
couldn't.
happen the way that, but
Oh.
yeah, literally only clothes and like my computer stuff got to
And
come with
the
me.
thing is my dad kept saying to me, again, bless his heart, I love that man. He was like, I was like crying and he was like, Grace, you did your best. He was like, it's not like you just waited to the last minute and like, we're like negligent. We're like, whatever, I'll just throw this stuff away. He was like, you really tried to get rid of everything.
Yeah,
I
you did
started
your
over
best.
a month. Yeah. But I was like crying because of the guilt and like the shame of having to throw away certain items. I tried to limit how much we would throw away. Like I sent my dad home with so much stuff that I was like, you have to donate this and you don't have a choice. And I'm so sorry because I know that's annoying because you don't want to drive to Sabres either, but you're going to have to. Like, I don't care. No, I'm like, you're being forced. But it just like to throw away like my glasses and my plates that were in perfect condition. But it was just like logistically, I did not have time to get them to a donation center. There was nowhere I could leave them for someone to come pick. Oh, it was a mess.
It is so insane how much
Oh my God.
stuff you like rack up after only being in a
Yeah.
place for a year because you were only in your apartment for literally less than 12
Yeah.
months at that point. And like the same thing with me. I was in my apartment for like 15 months and the amount of stuff that I had when I was
Yeah.
going through my cabinets, I'm like, what is all of this?
And
Like, I don't need
I
any of this.
and I said to my dad, like, because he kept saying that too. He was like, it's crazy how much stuff you accumulate. And then, but I was saying to him, I'm like, looking around at everything that's here, it's all stuff I used. Like, there was very little stuff that I didn't use because, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, I hate things. I don't like excess things lying around that don't have a purpose. I don't like knickknacks. I don't like I'm not big on like sentimental items. I hate excess things. So I really didn't have that much that I didn't use, but it's just like when you think about when you take things out of your cabinets and start to put them into containers, you realize just how much stuff, how much space that takes up, like your pots and pans so I was already going into the road trip a little stressed out. But thankfully, I was like with my friend Maggie, and she is an absolute angel. I mean, so she made the entire 3-day road trip with me and then stayed with me for a few days after to help me move in. And there's really like no benefit to her because, like, who wants to be in the passenger seat of a car for 22 hours plus over the course of 3 days? Like, so, our agreement or like what I had said to her, it was so funny. I told her, I was like, if you come down with me, I'll pay for your like flight home. And so funny. This was a couple months ago. She was like, you would do that for me? I was like, Maggie, you're about to come down with like, I'm going to make you pay for your own dang flight home. That's crazy. And then I also,
Yeah.
she loves the Vitality workout sets that I have. So I bought her a workout set.
Oh, that's
Like
sweet.
as like a gift or whatever. But what she ended up doing, she's moving to South Florida in like this summer. So it worked out because she came here, then took a train or a bus down to South Florida, and then I flew her home from there. So she ended up having she got to bebop around Florida a little bit. Yeah, so it worked out. The road trip wasn't bad, honestly. I feel like that was like the least of the issues of the whole move. Like it wasn't bad. We did it was 8 hours and 13 minutes from Mass to Stafford, Virginia. Stayed there for a night, and then we went from Stafford, Virginia to Charleston, South Carolina. That was like 7 hours, like a little over 7 hours. And then we went from Charleston to St. Pete, and that was another like 7 hours ish. And I would say, factoring in bathroom stops, gas stops, and stop for lunch, it was another about 2 hours. Yeah. So it really wasn't bad though. Honestly, the time passed. We were just yapping like the whole time.
When you have a friend there, it's like really not that big of a deal. But I was like thinking about you though. I like didn't even know which days you were driving because you weren't like posting on socials like when you were doing it, which like totally makes sense. But how did your car do? I was like thinking about that. I was like, oh, like God help Grace's little Toyota. Like hopefully she's holding up okay.
No, I know. Okay, so I have a Toyota Camry. It's 2009, but we got it in 2008. So we've had it for, what is that, like 16, 17 years. And the car only has, well, now it has 160,000 miles on it. But it doesn't have that many miles on it for how long we've had it. And I've always kept up with all the maintenance. So I wasn't worried about how my car would do or anything. I did bring it I bring it to my mechanic all the time, like I said, for the routine maintenance. And every time I go, they always say to me, they're like, that car looks like, looks immaculate inside and out. And like I've kept up with anything that's rusted on the inside. We've replaced and fixed and everything. So to be honest, they told me the last time I brought it in that they think it will last at least another 100,000 miles. So I felt good about it. Yeah. I mean,
Toyotas
Toyotas,
are awesome. I
I was
can't
going
say
to
the same
say,
thing about Nissans, but
yeah, I know someone, Mal Baska, she's a content creator as well. She had a Toyota she sold that had 400,000 miles on it. So I was confident in my car, but I did take it in about a month before I moved. I brought it to my mechanic for an oil change, but I asked them to do just like a full check of the car, of all like the important things, the brakes, just everything, and to make sure it was good before I decided to bring it down. And I will say, my initial thought was, let me do it right before I move so that it's like, clear right before I go. But then I thought, well, that's not a good idea, because if something's wrong, then I don't have time to fix it before I move. So I recommend doing it like a month before in case you do need to get something done. But that also gave me a lot of peace of mind. But no, my girl Tiffany, as we call her, because she is like light blue, Tiff for short. Tiff did great. She
I love
chugged
that
right
for you.
along. No issues.
Okay,
Yeah.
my next question is, what are your initial thoughts of St. Pete? Because you've been there for what, like probably 2 weeks now, and you've probably just been like stressed out about all the apartment stuff. But what are your initial thoughts? Are you so excited about your new city?
It's been about a week and a half since I've been here, and I honestly really like it so far. I think I got a lot of questions on my question sticker. Erin and I were talking about this beforehand. Instagram was playing me the other day. I did a question sticker and was going to answer all these questions about moving and life and whatever. And then after posting 4 stories, Instagram was like, hey, suspicious activity, and stopped, like they blocked me from posting. And I was like, what the heck? So I couldn't respond to everyone, but I got a lot of questions about why I chose St. Pete, which I think is like what I enjoy about it, like in answering your question. But I I considered Boston, but Boston was just like, that's home. Like I never lived in the city, but I know it too well. But I looked at San Diego, and I loved San Diego, but something about it didn't feel 100% right. And I think it's the fact that I'd be like a 6-hour flight away from home. God forbid anything happened. I just, being that far was just like a lot to think about. And then I looked at Nashville, and I feel like if I was moved to Nashville, it was really just for like the purpose of the podcast. It's not a city I was like particularly drawn to.
I'm leaving anyway.
Otherwise,
So.
yeah, and you're leaving. So it's like, and honestly, I feel like the type of podcast we have, it's not like we're bringing people in person very often. So it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. And then I looked at Tampa and St. Pete. And Tampa I did like, but I wasn't like over the moon about it. Like it's really pretty. I feel like I'll go over there and go for walks or go shopping or things like that. And I also heard from several people that it can be a bit more superficial. And I don't know how much truth there is in that. So I can't speak to that. I don't know the people there. And I feel like that's something you can run into in a lot of cities. But when I came to St. Pete, it just had this like charm to it. If you've ever been before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Kind of similar, well, not similar to Charleston, but Charleston has like a charm. Boston has a charm. San Diego, like I really liked Pacific Beach. I just feel like there's that area of it. I felt like St. Pete had a charm to it that a lot of other cities didn't. Oh, I also considered Austin. I forgot to say that one, but I hate it. I did not like Austin at all. It felt way too industrial and dull for me. St. Pete felt more like life. Like there's green grass and green trees, as where I felt like in Austin, it was very brown and dull, which again is so random, but it's your surroundings you're looking at every day. So that's why I chose it. I also felt like it was a good distance from home. It reminded me a lot of San Diego, but like I said, was closer to home. And it kind of is, there's plenty to do, and you are closer to a bigger city with Tampa, but it still feels like a community here. And I also like there's an airport close by. That was a big thing. I wanted there to be a really good airport close by. I also like the weather. I know everyone's like, wait till the summer. And you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when people are like, oh yeah, like when people get married and they're like, yeah, I'm so happy in my marriage. And they're like,
just
wait till your one's done. Or when someone's like, oh yeah, like my child has been doing so well. And they're like, just wait till you have 2, or just wait till the toddler's. I'm like, zip it. Like, please.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I know it's going to be hotter than the devil's ass crack here in the summer. And it's fine. I'm going to live like the same way that in
like the winters
Massachusetts
suck. And yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
It's the
I
same
will be
thing.
fine. Yeah, I will be fine. So yeah, and honestly, so far I am really liking it. I have gotten outside and like gone for a walk almost every single day that I've been here, which has been amazing, because back home I am not doing that. Right after I left, there was like 6 inches of snow. So it's been nice to just be outside. Again, I know this is like the best weather of the year here in Florida. So if you're going to be like, or if anyone listening is going to be like, wait till the summer, say it to someone else, because I don't want to hear it. But
yes.
I have really enjoyed it. And I feel like everyone here has been so nice. That's like one of the things that I really love about it. Everyone has been so nice. I've already met a bunch of people. Everyone's just been so welcoming. And I feel like the sense of community here is different in comparison to Massachusetts. I was living in the suburbs in Mass. I was living in a apartment that had no amenities, and so there was really no sense of community. People weren't seeing each other in the halls, talking to each other, things like that. And it was a lot of families because it was a suburb that was not really a place for young people. So being here and being around young people has been really good.
Have
And I
you
love,
been
yeah,
meeting
where I'm
people
at.
in your apartment complex slash like do you like your apartment complex? Because one like weird thing about me being in Nashville that like and I love Nashville as a city, like it's a really cool spot, but my like specific apartment complex, I don't get those like warm and fuzzy vibes. Like I
Mm,
don't know any of my neighbors or like nobody like says hi when you like walk around, just so strange.
yeah,
It's not like they don't like have places set up to where you can meet people. Like there are amenities here, but it's
yeah.
just like I get strange vibes from the complex itself where I was
Interesting.
living in Pittsburgh. I was in a suburb. I wasn't really like in the city, but there were
Yeah.
still a lot of young people. The community was like awesome. When I would go to the pool in the summer, I had like so many friends there and stuff. So, like, what are your initial thoughts about your complex?
Yeah, I will say, the move-in process, I was getting real irked simply because they have this stinking AI thing that like responds to your emails, and it would not answer the questions like accurately, and I literally kept being like, "Can I please speak to a human being? I'm getting so annoyed."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so I was kind of like a little nervous coming in here because I'm like, "Oh gosh, is this going to be like a mess?" But honestly, I really like it. I've only been here a week and a half. A couple days after I moved in, my friend Maggie and I were bringing a bunch of cardboard down to the like dumpster downstairs, and I was like walking out of my apartment, and one of my neighbors was coming out of her apartment, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, hey, like, are you guys moving in?" And so she just like sparked up conversation, and I was like, "Oh, do you want to exchange numbers? I'd love to grab coffee or something at some point." And she was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So we exchanged numbers. And then she's like, "Oh, what are you doing on Saturday? There's this big like I don't even know what you would call it, pirate festival thing here called Gasparilla. It's in Tampa where people just like dress up as pirates and go in Tampa and bar hop and get drunk."
So, like the
And
Buccaneers? Like, is that the pirate thing that you're referring
are
to?
they pirates? I don't know. Are the Buccaneers, is that a pirate? I don't know. Are they? Stop. Is that a
The
dumb
Tampa
question?
Bay Buccaneers? I'm pretty sure it's like a pirate hat, like on
Oh,
their. I
okay.
think I think
Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't
pirates.
Okay, I'm like I'm still catching up here. Okay, guys, I'm still getting up to speed. But yeah, so they go and like do that. They go over and get drunk, and her friends were going to Gasparilla, and she was like, "I'm having everyone over at 9 a.m. for mimosas and bagels if you want to come," which is funny because I don't drink and I have celiac, so I was like, "I'm just gonna be there for the vibes." But I did. I went over and just hung out with them, and they were really nice, and it was just good to like talk to her more. I definitely want to hang out with her again. I've been like this week's been a bit chaotic with moving stuff and just like work stuff, so I haven't reached back out. But then on Sunday, so this is like the weekend after I moved in, that Sunday I went to there's a girl named Jo here who hosts a thing called like girls who I think it's girls who journal and coffee or girls who coffee and journal. It's one of those things. That's like the Instagram. And turns out she's like a friend of a friend, and so I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I had discovered her Instagram page before I even knew she was a friend of a friend. So she does these sessions once a month where they meet up in this park, and she runs a meditation session, and then she gives you journal prompts and everyone journals about it, and then you like share as a group, and then you go get coffee after. I'm like, it's so up my alley. So I went to that Sunday. It was me, Jo, and one other girl, and we all exchanged numbers at the end. And like, so I'm definitely going to reach out to them to hang out again. So it's been good. But I have also in my apartment too. Today I was like sitting in an area, like a little shared space, and there was a girl sitting across from me, and I've seen her a couple times around the apartment. So I was like, "What's your name, by the way?" Like, I was like, "I feel like I keep seeing you everywhere." So we introduced ourselves. There was another guy who my phone, like we have like the little fobs that are like on your phone too, like through an app, and mine like wasn't working the other day, and so he came and like opened the door for me, and then he's like, "I feel like I haven't seen you around here, like did you just move in?" And like introduce himself to me, and I saw him this morning, I saw him the other day, like, so there are familiar faces and people are introducing each other, and everyone's been very nice. There was a fire alarm a few days after I moved in, and everyone was outside like just chatting with each other. So I have faith that like once it's the summer too, and people are like all out at the pool, and when there's more, they do activities and stuff too, I guess every month or something, like little like social hours and stuff. I guess they did a wine night the other month. So I feel like there will be opportunity to meet people, and everyone's been super nice. I think it helps that a lot of people are transplants here. Like it's not a lot of like a lot of people are people who moved in, not people who grew up here. So I think that helps because everyone's kind of been in the same boat of being new and friendless at some point.
Yeah, I think that's how Nashville is too as a city. Like generally people are always like open for conversation and stuff. Workout classes are also like a really good place
Yeah.
to like make new friends and meet people. I've like met a couple girls there. And then that's fun because then you have people to like go to workout classes with. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I love that you're like already out and about in a week and a half.
Yeah, I know it's been good. And I think too, I mean, being on social media also is such a blessing in these situations because I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how to say this without it sounding odd. So like just bear with me. And everyone listening, remember that I'm a good person and whatever. Like
You like
I
me, remember that?
I'm like, yeah, remember that you like me because I don't want this to come out wrong. But I think sometimes people think that people who create content are like somehow a different breed of human being. And I'm like, no, like I'm literally a human being the same way everybody else is. So like a lot of you guys who have messaged me and we've exchanged, like there are people that we DM back and forth all the time. So we're like internet friends, right? And there's a lot of people who, like when I was coming here to visit and was looking for recommendations, sent me recommendations because they live in the area, whether it's Tampa or St. Pete. And now that I'm here, a lot of people are like, I would love to grab coffee. And I'm like, no, I would love to grab coffee. Like I'm a normal girl who would love to meet other normal girls. Like, so it's really helpful because there's already so many people who I've interacted with in my DMs and stuff. You know, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
sometimes people forget that like content creators, like we're not just talking heads, and I'm not someone who has friends in every single place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think some people think,
Yeah.
oh, like content creators are just like they're just gonna settle right in. I'm a normal girl who just moved here like anybody else, and I'm also trying to like build my community and make friends and whatever. And it's not that I don't want to be friends with all content creators, you know, like I want to have just normal friends, like normal people. So yeah, I don't know, I feel like sometimes people forget that creators are normal. So I've been very glad that a lot of people do want to like meet up and stuff. I think I'm supposed to go to coffee this weekend with someone. We're like finalizing those plans, and then dinner and coffee with a couple other girls next week. But a lot of girls have asked me if I'm planning on doing any in-person meetups because I didn't realize how many people there are here. And I would love to try facilitating something like that. I need to see how many girls are here, but there's a lot more people in the area than I
Yeah.
thought.
I love that. I got a lot of that when I first moved to Nashville too. And like, if I'm being totally honest, like, I think I responded to people my very first week, and that's how I made like my couple friends that I have here. But I'm like super introverted and I like don't really love to socialize like that much. So I think I
Yeah.
like started off really strong and then I kind of like maxed out my capacity for friends and I like tried to
Yeah.
respond to people after that. But then I also just like got really overwhelmed, which sounds really bad. But yeah, I'm like a little bit too introverted for that. But I also really appreciated that people were reaching out, being like, oh my gosh, like I know you just moved here. I know you don't know anybody. Like if you need like Rex or friends or want
Yeah.
to go grab coffee, like, yeah. So I definitely appreciated that as well. I want to talk about like moving costs, especially because you did only bring what could fit in your car. And
Yeah.
I did that as well. And seeing all of the costs add up in the coming
Mm-hmm.
weeks after that was like definitely sticker shock. Like you don't realize how much it costs to replace like pots and pans and glasses and plates and just like random things that you need throughout your day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if I broke this down on social media, but I do plan on doing a video once like all the costs are kind of like more squared away, like doing a full breakdown. But basically so far, so I saved $10,000 or actually I think it was just under 11,000 when all was said and done. I kept chucking a little bit extra to it back in December. But it was right around $10,000 to move, and I knew I was buying an entirely new mattress, and I figured whatever I buy, let me buy stuff that I'll actually want to take with me when I buy a house. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy a king size mattress even though it's just me living here. I'm going to buy a king size because then when I move, I don't have to buy another new mattress. So I knew I'd have to spend like a chunk on that. I knew I was going to have to get a king bed frame. So I was like, okay, 10K I feel like is a good amount. And then I also knew I'd have some money from selling my stuff in my last place. And I will say, I was able to sell almost every single thing that I didn't want to take with me. And certain cheap stuff I just donated or put on the Buy Nothing group. But everything else I sold, like my big stuff, my couch, my desk, my chair, my like all of that. So I made around $2,000 ish from selling stuff. So I kind of had 12K all in. The last I added up my moving stuff, I think in January alone, I think it was like 6 grand or something. I did the math. I'm trying to remember because I tracked my spending the other day and I was like adding it up and I was like, all I know is my credit card bill I went and opened like my Capital One, and it was literally $7,700 was like, and I was like, bleh! And I immediately like paid it off because I was like that stress. I was fine. Obviously, I'm gonna pay it off, but something about having that large of a balance stressed me out. But at the same time, I had to pay for that includes like the deposit for here, that includes the application fee, that includes like my bed was $1,800. Although I will say one thing, sorry, my brain's going all these different directions because I'm like disoriented, but I'm still all over the place, guys. My brain's like everywhere. But I got my mattress from Mattress Firm, and I am like so gonna pitch them for a brand deal because I had an amazing experience. And one thing that's really interesting about them is when you buy a mattress from them, if the price goes down within a certain number of days after you buy it, they'll refund you the difference. If you like call them up and say, hey, I noticed the price went down. And funny enough, I posted that I got the mattress there, and one of my followers works at Mattress Firm, and she DM'd me and she was like, I like wanted to see what mattress you got. And so I looked it up in the system and saw what mattress you got. And I was like, oh my God, you're so funny. And then she DM'd me a couple weeks later and she was like, hey girl, I meant to let you know that your mattress went down in price. Call them up and you'll get money back.
She's a real one for that.
No, I was literally like, you're a real one. I feel like I should give you a cut of this money I just got back. So,
is there a side hustle?
No, really. I'm like, call her up. I would order from her store if I could. But I ended up calling them up and I got, I think it was like $230 back. So my mattress is only a little, it's like 1,500 something, which that included a mattress protector. So I felt like that was a steal. And it also includes like my bed frame. And then I ordered this couch, which I was venting to Erin about beforehand, which was $2,700, but I will be returning and taking a fat L on the restocking fee. I'm pissed about it, guys. Well, not pissed. I'm just, but yeah, it's crazy because I still need bar stools. I still need stuff for the bathroom, but just, yeah, rebuying a lot of it. Pots and pans, all the kitchen stuff, the living room stuff, nightstand, bed. Gosh, it really does add up. So like, but I mean, that's what you have a sinking fund for, right? That's why I have a sinking fund. That's why I set aside money for this. That's why I am financially responsible. I prepared, but it definitely does add up. I will do a video though, like breaking down all of the costs once more squared away though.
Yeah, see, I felt like when I moved to Nashville, my strategy was more like the big pieces of furniture I don't want to splurge on because realistically, I'm not going to take those back to Pittsburgh with me when I do inevitably buy a house. But all of the small stuff, like I realized how expensive all of that was to like repurchase all of the lamps and the nightstands and the area rugs and the little plant that I have in the corner over there, like all of that stuff that definitely wouldn't be able to fit in my car. I'm not selling and getting rid of all of that again. I think my plan is to rent a U-Haul and force my boyfriend to fly down and drive the U-Haul. He'll be my mover. So just like spend a couple $100s on like a little U-Haul van, but not take like, I don't think I'm going to be taking my couches or my bed. And those are like the only 3 big pieces of furniture that I bought but won't be taking with me. But then all of like the small stuff can fit. So I didn't want to like splurge on, like I bought a mattress off of Wayfair for like $500. It's like fine. Yeah. It's not, I don't know.
I'm like, I feel like the stress of selling things, it was so irritating to me. Just like coordinating and having 1,000,001 people from Facebook Marketplace coming to my apartment and picking stuff. Oh my gosh, it was just so annoying that I was like, okay, what do I thought about what pieces I really care a lot about. So like my mattress, I'm like someone who I need a very specific type of mattress. I'm like a firm mattress kind of girl. So I was like, okay, in order for me to get good sleep, I need to have a good mattress. So I don't mind investing in that. And when I do move, I will either just get like a bigger U-Haul like that, or I'll pay for movers. I know my friend is moving from Mass down to Charlotte, and which if any of you guys are from Charlotte, literally send me a DM because my friend is like the best person in the entire world. And she also doesn't know anyone there. And I want her to have the best girlfriends ever down there. So send me a DM and I'll hook you up with like the best friend ever. Just don't become a closer friend with her than I am because like I'm the best, but she was looking into a U-Haul versus movers, and she ended up finding movers that were cheaper than the U-Haul because the U-Haul was going to be so much. Because if you don't return the U-Haul to the same place you rented it from, it adds like so much to the price. So I would do that or just get movers whenever I leave here. But I was like, okay, what do I really genuinely care about? The mattress and the couch are the big things because those are the things I spend the most time on. So I didn't feel bad about splurging on those. I will say that bestie that I have moving to Charlotte, she works for Wayfair. And so she gets like an insane discount. So my bed frame was supposed to be like $1,400, I think, but I paid like $650. So I am using her as the plug for a lot of furniture I'm buying, and that is definitely helping. And I did get um, my desk and desk chair gifted to me as part of a brand partnership. So that obviously saved me money there, but that would have been a business expense otherwise. So I don't know. I think it's good to think about what you care about splurging on versus what you don't, and use that, like, to kind of choose like what's worth it, what's not. But I do feel like I got a lot of the splurge pieces out once I returned this freaking couch. Guys, I'm going to de-influence you really quickly. I bought the Dawson sofa from Castlery, and this is not a shot at Castlery. The quality of the sofa is like amazing. Like all the seams are perfect. There's no loose threads. Like it came packaged nicely. It looks absolutely stunning. This is just to de-influence you against linen sofas. Don't buy a linen sofa unless you've sat on a linen sofa and you know you love a linen sofa. The back of my legs are red when I stand up off this couch because it scratches me so hard. And I feel like that's just like, so I paid $2,700 for this sofa and an ottoman, which I'll also add. My apartment living room is very small. The wall is only 94 inches, but you can only fit technically like a 88-inch couch. My couch is 90. This one I have is 90, and it overlaps with the trim of the door frame a little bit, because you lose a few inches from the shades in here. And so I was really just like hunting for a couch, and I was kind of desperate, and I saw this couch. It was beautiful. I reached out to someone that I knew had it. She loved it. I was like, okay, Slay, let me order it. And then it comes in and I'm so disappointed because it's literally scratching me. And so I am planning to return it, and you have to pay a 20% restocking fee. So I'm going to end up having to pay $540 just to send it back and just eat that cost and buy something new. So this is just a little advice. Do not buy a linen sofa unless you have truly sat on one before and know what a linen sofa feels like, because I'm sure in the summer it would be great, like if you didn't have the AC on in your apartment and it was hot and like you're sitting on a sofa that's not like soft, but I like a sofa that you can like be all cozy on. So I will say that's going to add to my expenses here, but I do think the sofa I'm going to get instead is actually cheaper. So it will net out to being the same cost, but there's no point in keeping something. I debated keeping it, and then some of my friends were like, why would you keep something you don't like? Like, yes, it's $540, but I always say, I'm like, I can make the 540 back. Like it will come back to me in another way. It's not a big deal, but yeah, just word to the wise. Think it through.
At this point, I'm such like an in-store furniture shopper, and like you can't buy most things in store, but like I love a furniture store. I went to the Ashley Home store a couple months ago here in Nashville, and I'm like, when I move, I will be going to an Ashley Home store, and I will be like picking out all of my stuff and sitting on my couch and like sitting on my mattress and all of that. I also wanted to know about like the moving costs associated with all of the smaller things. I remember when I moved, my friend also came down to Nashville to help me move. I like paid for her flight so that she could help me, which was like such a blessing. And we went to Home Goods the day after I got here to buy all of the little things. Like I had to buy plates and cups and an area rug and like just all of like the nightstand, just those kind of like accessory furniture pieces. I spent $2,100 in Home Goods in one day. We had like 3 carts full of stuff. It was absolutely insane. And it did get me like everything that I needed. And like realistically, like I have 4 cups because I live here by myself. I don't need like 12 cups in my cupboard. You know what I mean? I need a set of 4, and that's like $10 at Home Goods. But yeah, it was around like $2,100 for almost all like towels. Like you literally can't bring any of that when you drive your car.
Yeah, unless you have like a gigantic car of some kind, like, but also you can't fill it too high and obstruct your view out the back, because like that was a big thing too.
My view
like,
was so obstructed.
Oh my God. When I was like 3 days of driving, like I was just like, let me not mess around with that. But yeah, it definitely does add up. I do think too, one thing I'm going to try to do this time around, which I didn't do last time because I just wanted to be settled so fast. I really want to curate the space. I want it to feel like my last place. It had gray floors, gray walls, gray cabinets. So everything was so gray, and the natural light in there, now being in a place where the natural light is so good, I'm like, wow, the natural light was horrible in my last place. Not horrible, it's being dramatic, but it was pretty bad, especially for the work that I do and the fact that I work from home. So I'm in the space all the time. And it kind of felt like I was living in a dungeon at some points in my old place. I just kind of got stuff and then like just to be settled, but it wasn't necessarily what I really wanted. And I did make a video about this. I just grabbed like cheap options and just bought things kind of quickly. And then I was like, dang, I don't really love this space. Like it's not I don't know, it was fine. It was comfortable. I loved my space. That apartment is very special to me and always will be. But in this space, I really want to curate it to kind of make it like my dream decor and but I also want to do that smartly. So like going to a thrift store and like looking for a lamp, or looking on Facebook Marketplace and looking for a lamp, or last year I bought my mirror off of Facebook Marketplace. Like, can I do that again? Or can I buy a TV? Just like trying to buy some of the small stuff secondhand if I can, but also like at some point I just have to have a bar stool, so at some point you just got to pull the trigger and buy something. But I really want to curate the space and make it feel more of my style than I did in my last place. So I think that part of that will just mean like I'm not necessarily paying more, but just like, I don't know,
Yeah, just doing
being a
it
bit more.
slowly.
Yeah
Yeah,
but I
because
also
I
want to
think
be settled.
no, totally. Yeah, I feel that because that was my thing. Like, and that's why I had my friend come help me move, was because I was like, I know whatever I don't get done in that first weekend, I will never get done, because like my desire to decorate 3 weeks after I moved is just going to be so
Yeah.
low. So I was like, come help me for 3 days and we're going to get everything done in 3 days. And like, I was so happy at the end of the weekend that everything was put together. But like about a month after I moved in, I was like, okay, is this even my style? Or did I just kind of like have my friend help me pick things out that were like her style? So my apartment is like pink and green, and I very quickly started to hate the pink and green and just wanted everything to like go back to neutral. So I feel like I wish I would have done all of the big stuff super neutral, and then just maybe did like little pops of pink if I wanted like some girly stuff. But like my area rug is literally pink.
Yeah.
And like my bed frame is green.
I was just saying to my therapist today, I'm like, because I love neutral, and that's what I want, everything neutral, like browns, and then like have some plants, and like that the plants like bring the color, and then that's that. Because for example, like I bought a towel, like a little decorative dish towel, and it has like red hearts and bows on it. That's enough color for me, because I said to my therapist today, I'm like, when I come home and I enter my space, I want to go, like, I want my brain to be able to turn off. And I love color in terms of like, when I'm out at a cute cafe and it has like a funky design and it's colorful and whatever and it's pink, I'm like, oh my gosh, so cute. But it's something about it makes my brain feel on overdrive, and I don't know, just like it doesn't feel calm to me. And so like my bed frame is like a white boucle fabric and has like a wood trim to it. It's gorgeous. And then like my sheets are white, and I want my couch to be beige, and I'm going to get like oak like furniture. I just want it to be very neutral because it makes my brain feel a bit more calm. But I agree, and having like little pops of color here and there, like for me, literally having like a pink candle on the coffee table, that's enough. Like, because
Yes, I
I don't know,
totally
the
agree.
neutral's
I get like
better.
so overstimulated so easily at this point in my life. And every time I stare at like my pink plates and my pink
Oh,
cups, I'm
yeah.
like, get these out of here. So nothing
Yeah.
that has color is going to my next place,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is annoying.
I know. It's just like part of it though. I feel like it's part of your 20s, and part of like having your own space is decorating it and figuring out what you like and what you don't like and how you want to live. And even just down to, I'm looking at my space, and this was so silly, but I was trying to pick out a laundry basket and I didn't end up picking one out because I couldn't decide what I wanted. There was like a metal one on wheels, and then there was one that was like a cotton spun like basket type of thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, would I like it on wheels, or would that bother me? Like I'm thinking through my routine of like, where do I bring, okay, I like load up my laundry in my closet. I have a massive closet in here. So I'm like, I load up my laundry in there. Would I like wheeling it over, or do I just like a cute more, because it's not as aesthetic, would I like a more aesthetic, just like a basket? Or would the basket get caught on my clothes? You start to think through these things more. Just because, again, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to have to buy a laundry basket every single year of my life. And let's just freaking spend the $50 on the
Yes.
nice laundry basket and whatever. Or again, the couch, like I would like to be able to take it with me when I go somewhere. When I move, I wanted a modular sofa from 7th Avenue. I went into their showroom in Boston and looked at it. If you're looking to make like an investment in a really good couch, 7th Avenue is by far the best one I have found on the market. I was starting getting into the nitty gritty of looking at like what the right foam density is and the proper rub count for like the fabric, and I was looking into all of it, guys. And that sofa was the best, most comfortable sofa I have found. And I'm so bummed because it's just a couple inches too big and wouldn't fit in my space. Otherwise, I would have bought it so fast. But just like thinking through, like, what do you like in a sofa? I've realized I don't like linen. I want something that feels soft and cozy, or I like a lot of wood tones. Do I like having plants? Do I not like, just thinking about all the things in your space? I feel like that just comes with moving into a space. You don't really know until you have full control over decorating your space. that you're like, oh, wait, I do like this or I don't like this. That's just that's just part of it, you know?
Yes, it's totally part of it. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about moving wise in this episode? Because we are running out of time.
I think there are two little things here that I've gotten questions about that I feel like this would be a good space to address. But I posted a video, it was probably a year and a half ago. So before I moved into I think it was right after I moved into my apartment in Franklin, talking about the guilt of moving away from my family because of how close I am with my family and how I'm like, I don't want to miss out on time with them. I don't want to look back one day and be like, I mean, regardless, when it's time for God to call them home, I know I will always sit there and be like, I want more time. I wish I had more time. You know, that's always going to be the situation whenever you lose anyone. But I had this like really big fear last year about moving away and regretting it and like having that guilt of moving away from my family and missing out on time with them. And I posted a video about it and I really just like was kind of just like crying into the void. And I didn't expect so many people to resonate with it. And to this day, like a year and a half later, I still get comments on the video of people being like, how'd you navigate this? Did you figure it out? And I just realized that it's something a lot more people deal with than I ever thought. And it's good to know I'm not alone in that. And I think it's good for other people to know they're not alone. And there was something that kind of stuck with me. Someone commented on the video and said that they're a parent and they were like, I hope that my child knows that I want them to go live life to the fullest and I want them to live life in the way that they want to live life. That's why I had kids. I had kids to bring people into the world to go and live it up and to do all the things, not to feel like they have to be around me all the time and know that like my parents are always going to be there. And so that was helpful for me to hear from the parent perspective that most parents want us to thrive. And if we're not thriving where they raised us, like in that town or area, that's okay. Like it doesn't mean anything against them. And I think I've also taken the mindset of I can go home whenever I want because of my job, which I know is not a privilege everyone has, but it allows me to have that balance. And I also want to be aware of the relationship with my parents, like texting them more often, getting on. We did a Google Meet the other day to like go over some items I had to leave behind. They shipped to me, like just, I'm going to pay to fly my dad down here because he loves Florida. So, I think just it's such a tough thing. So if you're in that headspace and maybe you saw that video a year and a half ago and you're, I don't know, still in that headspace, still trying to navigate it, you know, you have to do what's good for you too and find balance between being close to home and being far away. And I also think for me, I was like, I do want to settle down eventually and plant roots. And I can't fathom raising kids without my parents around. Like I want my kids to be close to their grandparents 100%. I loved having that opportunity to be close to my grandmother growing up. And that means that realistically, if my parents decide to stay in Massachusetts when they retire, I'll be buying a house there. That's just, even though it's not my favorite, place to live in the world because of the winter, it just means like that's a sacrifice I'll have to make. So now, before I have kids, is the time to go and live somewhere else. And the other thing people ask me a lot about is like, how do you kind of get over the hump of convincing yourself to move somewhere where you don't know anybody? And I will say it's definitely like a mindset. And I also think that like ever since I've been here, I've only been here a week and a half, but I already feel my energy shifting. And I also feel like because nobody knows me, which no one knew me like where I lived before, because it was like a random, it wasn't like I was around people that I grew up with, really. It was a lot of other people, but no one knows me. I don't know them. They don't know me. No one has a preconceived idea about who I am. I'm not surrounded by people that I grew up with. It's actually been really empowering. Like I have found more confidence to just be like, do you want to exchange numbers and grab coffee sometime? Like just straight up asking people, or like, oh, I see you around all the time. What's your name? Or just showing up to these events and activities alone. And also you'll find when you move somewhere, so many people, when I hung out with my neighbor and her friends, two of the people, they're from the Northeast. One actually grew up 30 minutes away from where I grew up, which was crazy. They lived in St. Pete for a period of time. They moved back up to the Northeast. Now one lives in Boston, one lives in Rhode Island. They're like a couple dating. There was another girl who like moved from the Northeast, or my neighbor moved from the Northeast. Like there's people from everywhere. And they're in the same boat. Like they've all had to make friends for the first time too. There's lots of people who also move. So many people DMing me being like, oh, I'm moving in March. I'm moving in May. I'm moving in this. There's a lot of people moving in the same boat. So I've actually found it more empowering to be alone in a city. And it really hasn't been as scary as I thought it would be. And I think living by myself in Massachusetts beforehand helped me. And, you know, having great friends. Like I'm talking to all my friends, you know, constantly while I'm here and stuff too, all my friends back home, but it has not been as bad as you might think. And I have not felt as alone as you might think. So if you really do want to move somewhere where you don't know people and you're struggling with it, like push yourself to do it, because getting yourself there is the hardest part.
No, totally. I was having this conversation with one of my friends the other day that also like moved to another state from Pittsburgh, and I was saying like this year has been such a good like obviously I did live by myself in Pittsburgh, but this year has been so good for like prioritizing me and just like literally doing whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, and also getting like so comfortable spending time alone, because even though I do have friends here at this point, like I have to make like conscious efforts to like see those friends when I want to, and I can also say no when I want to. So like yeah, I might be hanging out with a friend once a week, but that still means there's 6 out of the 7 days of the week that I am alone in my apartment with my dog, and like it's actually been so great for like prioritizing myself for a year. So I love that. I think we're right out of time, but this was such a fun chatty little episode. If you do have any more questions about moving to a new state in your 20s, definitely leave them in Spotify, or you can DM us on Instagram at the Life You Love Pod. But thanks for tuning into the podcast, and until next week.